Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
Glenn.
What's up, brother?
Love that song, by the way. You know, we have a link to it on the in the resource room, and it's good, great song.
So I happened to go to a funeral this week, and they played some music. They played a couple of guys' favorite songs. So on the way home, I'm in the car with my wife, and Jen says, "Hey, would you want music at your funeral?" I'm like, "Absolutely. I got my 5 songs already picked out." She's like, "Let me guess, U240?" And I'm like, "Absolutely right."
Back in Black?
No, not Back in Black, but U240. I mean, it was without a doubt my new life song. I will sing a new song.
You know, and the funny thing is, the backstory to that song, I think we might have talked about it before, but the album was complete, but they had a segment still. They'd completed what production for an album, and they had decided that they had to fill in a little bit more, and Bono had his Bible there and picked out this verse.
That's amazing.
And they just went in and canned it, and now it's become a show. You know, their closeout for every show. It's crazy.
I know, it's like 11 minutes now. And so, I was kidding with Jen. She's like, "Well, these songs are all 3 minutes, right?" I'm like, "No, I want the extended version of all of them."
Brother.
So one's like 9 minutes. The U2 one's 11 minutes. Another one's 8 minutes.
I'm going to bring a double espresso shot to your wake, dude. I'm going to need to stay awake.
That's so funny. But no, I got my 5 songs picked out.
You got your pallbearers picked out?
Yeah, I got 18 of them.
Sure. Beautiful. Did I make the cut?
Yes, you did, man.
All right, beautiful.
You're right up front leading everybody.
I need the foot part, though.
No, you're up there.
No, I can't carry the body.
Carrying the flag. No, you're leading.
Oh, I'm leading the procession.
You're leading the procession.
Okay, all right. That's easy.
Or is it recession?
I'm not sure. Is it a heavy flag?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right.
But you'll do great.
Hey, what's on topic today?
Hey, let's speaking of old timers.
Yeah, right.
No, I think we were talking the other day at the coffee shop, and we have a passion for everybody. Let's just cut to the chase. We have a passion for everybody from sober curious up to if you got 72 years of sobriety, right? But we deal a lot with newcomers, and we listen to newcomers, and we're involved with newcomers. We talk to them. We go to newcomer meetings, and we just love being a hand for somebody that's trying to find the sober path, right? So we heard the term old timers, or something came up, and we were talking about old timers. So I said, hey, let's get together and have that as an episode, right? Let's get some advice, right, from old timers, quote unquote old timers.
Right.
So you wrote down some key pieces of advice and nuggets that you've gripped on and applied through your life, and then I thought I'd have some kind of tongue in cheek ways to look at old timers, right? Because as newcomers, I mean, there's a perception of old timers.
Are we old timers?
No.
No
way, man.
You're not buying it, huh?
No, I don't think it. I mean, I have 7 years. I don't think that's an old timer.
No.
Do you?
Well, I know a guy that's just turned 51 years.
So that's kind of an old timer.
He sends me a text every day. I mean,
So he's still grinding away.
Oh, he's grinding away.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Little clippets from
In
the.
fact, I'm writing that down. We're going to come back to that.
Okay. All right.
Grinding.
Keep grinding. I love it. Yeah. So, but I look up to anybody who's got a week of sobriety. I mean, because I got something I can learn from them. But you're right. We put a little more weight into somebody who's got the 14, 20, 36 years. Or tend to put a little more weight into that, just because it's just tough to get your arms around. That's why I relate, like you said, to the newcomer, because I can totally, it's fresh in my brain, the challenges that they may be facing and how they're overcoming it is inspirational to me.
So I think you said 2 words there, or two slants on it that I want to. You said, put a lot of emphasis on the old timers, or tend to, right? And I think we do tend to. I think initially, when I heard somebody had 30 years, I almost got down on my knees and bowed down to them, right? And I've been around long enough in the program to realize it's not the years, it's the mileage. And I think the tendency of newcomers is to come in and say, well, they got 30 years. I'm going to listen to every word they say and do everything they do. Well, I've seen that in action. It's not necessarily the best plan, right? I think when we look at, and I really think that statement underlines it. It's not the years, it's the mileage. It's what are you doing in the program?
Right.
There is a guy that I know. He's got 7 years, and he's barely worked the steps, right? And yes, he's sober, and yes, he's in the program, and yes, he goes to meetings, but he hasn't worked the steps, right? So, so I guess my tongue in cheek is, there are times I have learned more from, a guy with 30 days than with 35 years.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does indeed. I treat sobriety as like school for the soul, right? And if I'm in a classroom and, I'm certainly going to hang on every word the professor says, because I'm assuming he knows a lot more than any kid in the class. But when we break out into groups, it's really the kid in my group that I'm gaining the most knowledge from, because they're at the same level as me, and we're both striving for the same thing, but we learn how to learn together. So,
yeah, I really like that, and part of me. Well, I think back to this guy, Mike. Not you, Mike. There was another Mike in AA, trust me.
Whoa, really?
Well, this is years ago.
That should be illegal.
This is years ago. And he was so quiet in meetings, and you would only share like 1 out of every 10 meetings. So I was talking to him after the meeting one time. I'm like, dude, man, I said, I get so much out of your shares. Why don't you share at every meeting? And he looked at me, he goes, yeah, there's a bunch of old timers here that they have a lot more important stuff to say. And I'm like my heart was crushed. I'm like, dude, I learned from you. And excuse me, part of that is because I know what it's like to have 30 days sober. I've been there a lot. I know what that feels like. I can't relate. I don't know what 20 years feels like.
No, I have no idea.
I just don't.
Right.
And I see guys and gals with 20 years, and they're not out doing work anymore. They're in the comfort zone, right? They're like retired AAers. They haven't done service work in years, and I'm like, I'd rather be with the people that are out there grinding it, that are working on their sobriety every single day, that are trying to sharpen their pencils.
That's right. And there are both. There are those that are both. My sponsor is a living example. Your sponsor is a living example.
Yeah.
They're still on the front line. They're still going to newcomer meetings.
Amen.
They're still,
You're exactly right.
But now again, are they the exception or
are they
the
old
rule?
timers?
I don't know. Yeah.
I think they're in their teens, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so,
right. Oh, yeah, we're
I don't
sucking
know.
up now.
And I'm not. Trust me, I'm not dogging old timers. All I'm saying is, when working with newcomers, the natural tendency is to say, there's no hierarchy in AA. There's no level of promotion. There's no seniority, right? It's
no belt colors.
I love that. Dude, you're so smart sometimes. There's no belt colors, right? And so many times the newcomers come in, they're like, oh my God, I'm going to drip on every word that 30 years says. Meanwhile, the 30 years out having affairs, he's screwing around in his business affairs. He's not living the program, right? He's not living the benefits of the program, but he's got that belt or that coin that says 30 years, so everybody bows down.
So let me ask you this. How do you pull the veil down? How do you look behind the curtain and see who's pulling the triggers, Oz?
So that's a good question. That's probably not as easy to answer as you would like, at least I think. I think there's value in keep coming back, right? I've seen value in, again, it's coming back and being involved in the same group. That's where I see value, because you can get to know people and see how they operate.
So when you see the dude leaving with another girl at the end of each meeting, you've got your own indicators versus the guy who's hanging around cornering the new guy that walked into the room. Is that so? You're kind of seeing.
I think it's somewhat of a slippery slope, because then we're sitting there judging people, right?
Right.
And I don't want to judge people, but I mean, especially newcomers, if you're trying to find a sponsor, right, and you're using time as your qualifier, right? And hey, Mikey, how long you got? Jim, how long you got? Dave, how long you got? I'm going to take the longest, right? And there's guys that do that, and I'm saying that's not the best move.
Got it.
I think you want to look for somebody that, over the course of several meetings proves their interaction, they're engaged, they have a quality commitment to the big book, that they're familiar with the big book, that they, I'm not saying you got a big book quote thrower, right? But you got to have worked the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and you got to be involved. I wouldn't just bow down to the first 35 years of sobriety. I just wouldn't. I've seen it not work out.
Right. I've also seen people, Glenn, that are sober outside the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and they're involved in no program at all. They just don't drink. Right. Now, for me, I needed more. For me, I needed more. I needed to figure out all those things that caused me to drink and right my ship, but I guess my point is there's value in that 35-year sober guy, whether you're buying into his entire persona or you're just hanging on to, okay, what did I do to get through this stressful situation yesterday to not drink, right? So.
Yeah, I think there's, I think you can be successful in spite of.
Right.
And I think there's guys out there like this 7-year guy. I mean, doesn't work the program. His life could be so much better than what he's doing today if only he worked the program. Right. Right. And I think that's the same with some of those 35-year guys that, if they had really committed and worked the program diligently, and again, I don't want to come off like I'm judgmental, right? But there's a guy I know, and I knew him 10 years ago. He used to come around, and I used to see him 3 times a week at meetings. And he probably hasn't been to a meeting in 5 years. But I see him around church, and he is one of the most quality guys. And I just love that guy. And everything he touches has quality and caring and empathy and passion for people and serving and what can I do? And I said to him one time, he and I were at some function together just by chance. And I'm like, dude, I haven't seen you around. He goes, no. He said, I'm living my purpose elsewhere.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, that's great. I can't do that. I still have to be plugged in.
Well, you know what I heard you say though, and it really, really resonated with me, is, and it goes back to in the reading of How It Works on pages 58, 59 in the big book, where it says, if you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you're ready to take these certain steps, right? If you want what we have. What I heard you say, correct me if I'm wrong, is find the guy, gal in that room that you want what they have, right? And so that's very non-judgmental. I'm not judging what they don't have. I'm just embracing, I want to hook my caboose to your engine because I want what you have, and I'm willing to go to any length to get it.
So I think that's great. I just want to share how I picked my first temporary sponsor in 2003 because I wanted what he had.
What do you have, Glenn?
Okay. So I'm in rehab on the ocean front, Pacific Ocean, and this temporary sponsor came in, and we had a bunch of temporary sponsors come in, but I wanted what this guy had. He dressed sharp. He had a great watch on, great shoes, convertible BMW, and I said to myself, that guy qualifies to be my temporary sponsor. I wanted what he had. Now, that was then not the way to go about it. My sponsor today I picked
has a good golf game.
Yeah, I want what he has. No, but he has a way of living. In fact, there's times today, because I talk to him all the time, and I know what he's going through when I watch him, and he just does. He lives the right way, even when it's painful, even when it costs him money, even when it's the hard way. He goes the right way. And there's times today, as much as I think I'm living similar to him, I'm like, I want what he has.
Right.
And I'm on the right path to get it.
There was a guy that came in the rooms, and this goes back maybe about 3.5 years ago, and he came in the room and he talked about the program in practical life and how it was like a Ferris wheel, and how I'm telling you, how it was a Ferris wheel, and you had to embrace when you were up. You had to appreciate when you were up on the top car, and you had to appreciate and understand when you were at the bottom where all the garbage was, and the smell of the diesel and the residue of puke from other riders, and you had to know that it was going to go back up again. I wanted what that guy had, because he was taking the program and putting it into practical explanation that I could grasp onto, and it made sense to me. And here we sit.
Well, the most important part about that story, because I remember that story, I remember hearing that story, is, in fact, I think he had a picture.
He had a picture.
And it had these big gold cars. I think he called it the Ferris wheel or whatever, but these big gold cars. And it's who's in those cars with you.
Right.
And nowhere does it say you got to have 30 years sobriety to get in that car.
Right.
So it sounds like I'm dogging old timers. And, dude, I'm really not.
Well, I think, again, what I'm hearing,
I'm just saying,
what
don't
I'm
use
hearing
that
you
as
say
your
is,
initial filter.
Right. Go for what it is that you want to aspire to be. And sometimes I aspire to have the energy of somebody, and the determination and the appreciation of a 30-dayer. A 30-dayer is so appreciative of what they've got. And what a great reminder to me that has a couple more days than 30 days. I need to continue to appreciate everything that I have right now, because my failure to appreciate what I have right now is going to take me back to where I don't want to be.
So I'm just writing this down. I think I just set a new aspiration for myself, and I'm spitballing, so I'm probably going to hurt myself. I want to have 30 years sobriety and still be as hungry as a 30-dayer.
Right.
And still be grinding it out, and still be in love with this program, in love with the steps, in love with serving others, as people do when they have their pink cloud. Not that I have a pink cloud, because I don't.
I do, but I'm parked there. I'm living my
I know.
pink
How
cloud.
do you do that? That's amazing.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
No.
I just can't get to the pink cloud every single day.
And death comes and challenges in life, but the appreciation of what I have, I'm reminded of.
Amen, man.
And that's just by going to meetings. Keep coming back.
Dude, just
keep
gave me
going.
chills. That is amazing. And so it doesn't matter if you have 30 years or 3 years. You can find that point and that peace.
Right.
So I love that. So I'm sorry. That was a long intro.
That was it. Yeah. So now we're going to start. I want to kick off. Hey, welcome to Sober.Coffee.
I'm so sorry. What are the 4 key? Let's really focus.
All right.
What are your 4 key nuggets?
If I had 4 pieces of advice to give to somebody, we've touched on them already. I would say A, embrace sobriety, acknowledging the pain of change while finding gratitude, therefore appreciation in the glory of the new. Now, that's a long sentence, but
that is a long sentence. Can you say that again?
Sure. Embrace sobriety, acknowledging the pain of change while finding gratitude, therefore appreciation in the glory of the new. So it's just acknowledge so you can appreciate.
Living a better life.
Number 2, acceptance is the secret sauce. Learn it, live it. Number 3, treat sobriety as school for the soul. Master your mind. And then last, allow yourself to think. Learn to process your thoughts. It is the best. It is the best way to figure out what step, what right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot.
So I think we need to do a whole episode on thoughts and thinking and all that stuff. I think that'd be really valuable.
Yeah.
But I think what I just wrote down on that last one about thoughts is to process them. You don't have to participate in them.
Right. No, you don't.
You don't have to sign up and it goes back to what I joke about on Facebook. I saw a post, and we all know if it's on Facebook, man, it's
Must
real.
be true.
It's real. It said your thoughts and feelings are valid. Act on them. And I'm like, well, that was my problem for 50 years.
Yeah.
It's a lot better to process thoughts and say, hey, I can be an observant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to be a participant.
Right. As an old timer, give me your two or three words of wisdom for a newcomer.
So I'm not an old timer, but do you want me to call one up? No, man, I'm not an old timer. But my thoughts for newcomers are, one is surrender.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to surrender and say, I'm going to try it another way.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It's not going to work for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be, and I use this analogy or metaphor. It's like trying to live life as a left-hander when you've been a right-hander your whole life. It is awkward at the beginning. Mm-hmm. It is hard. There's going to be days that you want to say, F this, untie my right hand. I want to use my right hand. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of using my left hand. My left hand doesn't work. I remember when I used to be able to do this right-handed. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Those days are gone.
Yeah.
Right? And so one is surrender and just say, hey, man, I'm going to sit here and sweat it out right now, and I'm going to suffer. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be miserable for the next hour. That feeling's going to go away. But I'm going to sit through this because I am committed to being a left-hander. Because my right hand gets me in trouble. Mm-hmm. So that's one. Another one is get in the pool. I love the people that criticize things in life, right? I love the people that sit in the bleachers and yell at the players that are on the floor. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on. Don't sit on the bleachers. Get in the pool. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever learned how to swim by going to a seminar. Mm-hmm. You learn how to swim by getting in the pool. Go to AA bowling. I know it's boring. I've been to AA bowling. It's not my fave. Mm-hmm. But I met some great people, and I surrendered, and I was humbled. And you know what? I actually had fun. Mm-hmm. So come around, get involved, participate, get in the pool.
Lastly?
Be patient.
Be patient.
I found that my alcoholism was progressive. It got worse over time. And I also found that my recovery is progressive. It gets better every day. And, it's not going to happen overnight.
Be patient and don't beat yourself up, man.
No way, man. Hey, thanks, old timer.
Thank you for dialing into our show today.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, man. Hey, someday, who knows if we'll be old timers. But
if we are, we'll be as eager and teachable as 30-dayer.
Right now, I'm rocking it as a 30-dayer.
I love it.
All right. Love you, brother.
All right.
Take care,
see you
man.
next week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@sober.coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.